Good evening and welcome. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming to this 2009 Pathfinder Services Community Recognition Dinner. My name is Larry Dowden. I'm president of Huntington University, and I'm very honored to host tonight's event. On behalf of Pathfinder Services Board, President John Niederman and the staff, I want to thank you for coming and thank you for your support for this wonderful organization. I know that your presence at this meal and at this dinner is a great encouragement to them. When I was asked whether I would MC tonight's activity, I immediately said yes. I didn't say yes because of my comedic ability or because I have a flair for introductions, but I said yes because I am grateful to Pathfinder Services for the incredible work that they have done in our community, for the impact that they have had on many lives and the way they've improved the life of our community and many other communities. I know that you feel that as well, and you feel that this is a very special and needed organization. We have a full and very interesting program this evening, and we normally would start with dinner, but we are not going to start with dinner. We're going to start with a presentation. We have a special presentation announcing the new look of Pathfinder Services. Loretta Motran, Senior Director of Business Development, and Jason Meyer, Communications and Marketing Coordinator, will come to share this exciting new look with you.
Good evening. It was wonderful to engage with some of you at the cocktail reception. Punch and hot cider was wonderful, and it was really nice to see all the hard work and efforts that are put into who we are as Pathfinder Services come to life with the individuals in this room. So we want to take just a couple minutes to share with you a little bit about what you see around you, and first and foremost to let you know that this has nothing to do with Jason or Loretta or Pathfinder Services as far as individual people. This has to do with the clients that we serve, and we are just thrilled to have the honor to be able to do what we do every day. Each of you in this room is here with a specific story, probably very different than the person sitting next to you. You have a different connection and a different relationship to Pathfinder Services. Some of you may be board members, and you so graciously give of your time and your commitment to help guide and steer the mission of Pathfinder Services, and the organization greatly appreciates that. Many of you may be clients that we serve in some of the awesome programs that Pathfinder Services conducts on a regular basis. They couldn't be done without the hard work and dedication of every employee. If you're not in this room, the 422 strong of us, we appreciate everything you do to make this all possible. Some of you may be donors who believe so much in our community that you choose to fiscally support what it is we're all about. So no matter what the reason is, and the different connection that you have with our organization, we know that you're here tonight under one common thread. You're here because you believe in what we do. You're helping us celebrate the year that we've just completed, and you're helping us as we look towards the future and the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. The relationship you have with Pathfinder Services is very unique. And if we went around the table and we asked each of you what you know or why you're here, you would all have a story that's probably very different than the person sitting right next to you. Over the last couple of years, we've been very seriously listening to our clients. We've been creating images and listening to stories and compiling those stories. As you came in this evening in the lobby, you saw a sneak peek at some of the images of our clients, and there's stories behind those images that we couldn't even explain to you in our time here this evening. As you came in, you saw some slides happening in front of you. All of those slides represent stories and passion and commitment from the people we serve, from the people who serve, and the people like you in this room who believe in what it is we're doing. These stories create emotional connections, and we are super excited that these things have created the foundation for who we are at Pathfinder Services. We create community and human development, and we're comprehensive about that. And I think that's what we're here to share with you this evening. As we've evolved over the last few years, we've created some incredible services. Many of you have a strong connection to one or maybe a few of the different services within our organization. We know you came here tonight knowing something about Pathfinder Services. We hope when you leave this evening, you'll have a much better understanding of the whole of Pathfinder Services. So what you see around you are images and a new logo, a new look, but it's the same core Pathfinder Service individuals still working for the same causes, but we're here to unite our organization under one umbrella and help create a better story. So people in this community and in all the communities that we serve will understand the pieces. So instead of standalone divisions or different businesses, they're going to understand that we fit under one roof. We are a family of services that help people along life's journey. So whether you are an infant, a child, maybe not even born, you may be a pregnant mother with a need for service, until the point of residential services. We have things along the gamut of life. So regardless if you're looking for child care, if you are in a situation where you need tax preparation, you are having challenges and you may need foreclosure prevention, or you need a place to live or a job, this organization has a vast array of services that we can provide. And thanks to you and all the hard work and endeavors from the individuals that work with our organization, we can do that. Our intent tonight is to help show you how we fit together. So I want to leave you with just 2 quick thoughts. First of all, in the next couple of weeks, we'd love for you to visit a place called PathfinderEstore.com. And it's a very neat place where you can buy anything from coolers to sweatshirts at below retail pricing, so it's a cost-effective way for you to do some shopping. And the next time you need a trash bag or a binder, would you please go to a place called humblebuy.net, because we are creating opportunities for individuals with disabilities to sell products across the United States. And those are 2 of a couple of the very new programs that we will be offering. So just wanted to share a couple of the new things that are coming up, and Jason wants to share with you how we got to where we are today.
So I am tasked today to say where or how we've gotten to where we are. This is something new for me, by the way, Mr. Writing speech. So giving one, I have more respect each and every time. So basically about 18 months ago at our staff retreat here at the university in February of 2008, all of our leadership staff got together and stressed a great need each division did to market our services, to carry out the marketing plans that we created by for each division. At that time, it was not really identified how this would be accomplished, but quickly we realized we could not do it by ourselves. So we established a marketing task force to do so, and we received approval to do that at our board retreat by the services board in March that year. For the next 18 months, our marketing task force, made up of representatives from each of our divisions of the organization, met at least monthly, sometimes a couple times a month, to figure out a way to tie all our divisions together into one. We engaged outside consultants when needed and received as much pro bono advice as possible to get where we are today. And it was a recommendation of the task force to tie each of the divisions together and with that one common look and feel as you see in front of you today, allowing for people to say, wow, this finally makes sense. Wow, I get it. Tonight I'd like to thank several people in the audience for your support along the way. A big thanks to Keith Hartley, who's back in the back there, for everything you've done for the marketing and public relations committee on our board, giving all of our advice and encouragement when we're bashing our head against the wall trying to figure out some things. And also I'd like to thank Jeff Toish and Christina West, who are in the audience today, as well for everything you've done with the marketing task force. Additionally, I wanted to offer very special thanks to Shelly Englund, who's in the audience. She designed everything that you're seeing in front of us, spent countless hours with Loretta and I know she enjoyed every minute of it, with all of our revisions and corrections and everything. So thanks again, Shelly, for everything. And she also designed the annual report that's in front of you today, and all the banners and all the photos in the back of the room as well. And then finally, I'd like to thank Katie Ashelman and Colin Whitehurst, who are right here, and they're going to be doing video and pictures tonight. But they've also helped us a lot with the dinner and for our company party for next week as well. So with that being said, we'd now like to play the following video for all of you, which will kind of help you show everything that Pathfinder Services does in the communities we serve. Thank you.
Over the years has grown to incorporate something that's in the organization.
This is our child care. We started Kids Camp like 6 years ago. Our son was 2 at the time, and we were just looking for a little bit more structured environment than where he was at.
Yeah, Trevor and Emma. Trevor's 8. He's been going to Kids Campus now for 6 years. Started in 2s. You know, he went there for the premier preschool all the way through the before and after group now that he's in school. So it's really great whenever we got a fog delay or snow delay, we know, we can still get to work on time. We don't have that worry. And then Emma is in the 4s now, and she started there from 6 weeks old till now, and it's just been really a great experience.
I mean, the kids just love going there. This morning Emma was running ahead of me to get in the door as fast as she can.
We work primarily with adults who have disabilities, assisting them in finding employment.
I wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be for them. They're awful good, and they try to help us all learn to work out in the community.
Cindy is just a real joy to be around. She's a lot of fun. She works hard. She's dependable. She's always at work, always does her job. If we ever want her to do something different, she's always willing to do whatever we ask of her. The customers love her. The rest of the staff enjoys being around her. She's just a great asset for Johnson's Junction.
They're proud of my work, and I'm very proud.
We assist them in the homes where they live. And then we also do a Community Connections program that works with individuals who are purchasing a home. We have a down payment assistance program there, and we also do foreclosure prevention programs. So we're involved in a lot of different areas.
We are very grateful for the continued support and the future support of individuals, organizations in our communities who believe that we can create those solutions for the future.
A great new look and a wonderful logo. Let's congratulate those that were involved. Now it's time to enjoy a great meal and some wonderful fellowship. After our invocation, you'll go to the buffet, and the folks in tables 1 through 6 will go first. The middle tables will go next, and sorry about those that are sitting in the back. You will go last, but I can guarantee you that there's enough food for you. We've asked Father Ron Reeder, pastor of St. Peter and Paul's Catholic Church, a past recipient of the Herbert D. Lamont Award, and a friend to many of us, to come to give the invocation. Father Ron?
My prayer is very short, so I can take a minute here. I just want to tell you how privileged I feel and what a joy it is for me to be here. And I just hope and pray that everybody in Huntington will realize what a treasure we have in Pathfinders. I've been associated with them now for almost 25 years, and I look upon it as one of the greatest privileges of my life. And to receive that Lamont Award a few years ago was one of the high points of my life also. So I'm just so happy to be here, and I'm so glad to see all of you here supporting this wonderful work. Heavenly Father, what a joy and privilege we have this evening to gather in your name. We do this to thank many wonderful people and to honor others for their dedication and love for your very special children. Help us, Father, to truly understand that in our service to others, especially those with special needs, that we are serving and loving you. Help us to rekindle the fire and spirit of service and love that you have given to us in the very depths of our being. Thank you for this time together this evening, for the good food, the friendship which we enjoy with each other. Thank you for your many blessings, and may we use this time together to renew our commitment to making this a better and more loving world, sharing our blessings generously with others. We pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Those in tables 1 through 6 can now get up and make your way to the buffet, and then the rest follow. Have a great meal. Well, it's a pleasure to introduce to you someone that obviously needs no introduction, our president, John Niederman. John has been president since 1985, and during his presidency, several new initiatives have been developed, including Resource Connection, Kids Campus, Community Recycling, and Community Connections, along with new offices in Plymouth and Wabash. You probably are aware that John is recognized as a very innovative leader in Northeast Indiana, in our state, and he brings that innovation to our community as well. And he's a friend to many of us. I've appreciated John throughout the years and our work together with the university and Pathfinder Services, and I know many of you have enjoyed working with John. He will come to share with you some of the highlights from 2009. We'll introduce the board members and also say farewell to some departing board members. So John, would you come and please welcome him as he comes.
Thank you, Blair, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you all for coming tonight and being able to share in really what you could consider a new beginning for Pathfinder Services in our now 20 years later, as we developed all of these particular divisions of Kids Campus and Resource Connection and Community Connections, that 20 years ago our efforts were to create some integrated services, mainstream services, that people with disabilities could take advantage of in this community that weren't just for them, and that the whole community could partake in. And that at the time when we established these services, such as Kids Campus, we needed to market them separately because of the stigma attached if Pathfinder Services was the only name attached to it. Because people would say, well, those are only services for people with developmental disabilities or the mentally retarded. And so 20 years later tonight, we're able to come full circle around and say that we are a family of services and that we are an organization that serves people with disabilities but serves the community at large, and we have become a comprehensive human and community development organization. So thank you for being here tonight and letting us share with you the new look that we have been creating over the last couple of years to bring the family together, the integrated family together, and to go back out into the community and say that everybody that has a need can partake of that, but especially people with disabilities can partake of all the services that we have to offer. So that's what we're seeking to do tonight. And again, I want to give a special thanks to Jason and Loretta and Shelley, especially. Shelley, would you please stand? Shelley is really the graphic artist that has created all the images for us tonight. So I wanted her to take a particular stand so that we can say thank you so much for your creative efforts and the look that you've provided to us going forward. Thank you, Shelley. We have some wonderful people in the audience tonight that I would like to recognize as well, beyond the board, which I'll do a little bit later. We have some individuals in the audience tonight that are 25-year or plus employees for the organization. And that we're getting old enough to say that. And so I would like to have Ray Benninghoff. Ray, from Plymouth, stand please. Ray Shiloh. Sandy Circle, Jen Mason. And I don't know if Carla, did Carla make it? Carla Mall? Carla didn't make it. These are our 25-year employees plus that are with us tonight. Congratulations. We also have Carla Mall, Carol Austin, and Mary Berkey, who could not be with us tonight. All that we've been able to accomplish could not happen without a dedicated staff of the organization. But especially a team of individuals that support me in being able to do all that we're able to do throughout the various services that we offer in the community, and that's our senior leadership team. So I'd like to have the senior leadership team of Pathfinder Services please stand so we can recognize you. Loretta, Jason, Sandy, Jan, Sandy winging the way back. And we have one member who's missing tonight, Chris Kaufman. But thank you so much for all the effort and energy that you put in every day on behalf of the people that we serve. In addition, we have a number of staff here as well that work in the organization and that have various roles tonight, but also may just be here because of the fact that they're here. So I'd like the rest of the staff of Pathfinder Services to please stand so we can recognize you. I have lots of thank yous. I also would like to thank Dr. Blair Dowden for agreeing to be our MC tonight. And what a privilege to have you as a partner of ours, as a friend. The tremendous work that you've done over the years. We were just talking at the table about how both of our organizations have just grown immensely over the years. Dr. Dowden has been at the forefront of the growth of Huntington University, and I want to thank you for your dedication to this community, but also your dedication to our organization. And I want to thank Chris Dowden, who's with him tonight, who is a former board member, for all her continued support and dedication to our organization. Thank you for being here tonight. We do have another gentleman who's traveled from Cincinnati to be with us tonight, and that's Tony Lewis. Tony Lewis is from NeighborWorks America, and this is an organization that we have just become a chartered member of in our Community Connections division. And NeighborWorks America is a national organization that gets dollars from Congress. And what they do is then they provide technical assistance and capacity money to organizations throughout the United States to do community development in their communities. And Tony is our Community Representative Program Officer from NeighborWorks America and is representing tonight. Tony, thank you for traveling up from Cincinnati and being with us.
Thank you.
Continue the thank yous. Tonight we have a number of corporate sponsors that have supported us over the years, but also have supported this evening. And I would like to recognize them. David Culp and Company, who have been tremendous supporters over the years, and Drew Sell and Byron Price are with us from David Culp and Company. So where are they? Thank you very much for being with us. First Farmers Bank and Trust, represented by Mark Wolf, who's also on our board. Thank you for the support of yourself, but also First Farmers. We also have First Federal Savings Bank, and we have Tom Mills, Randy Sizemore, and Ron Tinkle from First Federal, I think, is what, back in the back. Thank you very much. We have everyone at St. Peter and Paul Church and Father Ron Reeder, who's been a tremendous supporter over the years. And you met Father Ron earlier tonight, but is he still here? He had to go to another meeting. Well, thank you all for that support. And then we also have Wells Fargo Bank, and they're represented by Michelle Crone, Becky Gerhardt, Todd Landrum, and Rosa Wheeler from Fort Wayne. Thank you all for being here and being a tremendous supporter over the years of the organization. And Becky's also on our board. Other corporate sponsors for tonight that have provided a table for our award recipients and others include Core Benefits Incorporated, which is our healthcare provider, Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority, though they don't have anybody here tonight. They're one of our funders at the state level. Matheny, Hahn, Demmin and Nix, LLP, Northern Indiana Packaging, Pathfinders Kids Campus. So they got together and bought a table, as well as the Smith Barney Warren Group, our investment firm. So I want to say thank you to them for supporting us. At this point in time, I know I'm supposed to do this after my presentation, but I would like to have all the services and foundation board members, as well as committee members, please stand so we can recognize your service to the organization this past year. So, and those individuals are Joe Blumenke, I don't see Joe, hopefully he made it, Paula Garrett, Bill Hancher, Lori Mickley, and John Mignon on the foundation board, along with Becky Gerhardt, Craig Johnson, Keith Hartley, John Mignon again, because he's on both boards, Randy Sizemore, and Mark Wolf. Thank you so much. And then we also have other committee members in attendance tonight, and Judy Frischman, Royce Ruckman, Jim Scheider, and Peggy Snyder. Also like to recognize we have some past Lamont Award winners with us tonight. Judy Frischman, who is here, was one of our first Lamont winners way back when. Should I say what year? 1986. Ken Salashenko, we're 1994 recipients. Royce Ruckman, the 1995. David Bruin, 1999. Mitch Decker, our 2000 Lamont Award winner. Father Ron Reeder, who had to go to another meeting. Bill Hancher, 2007, and Jim Shiver, 2008. Thank you so much for being with us and your continued support of the organization. As many of you know, 2009 was both a wonderful year, but also a very challenging year for both our organization, but also for all of us as we saw the economic slump begin. And we had to make some adjustments this past year in order to create some sustainability for the future. And at the same time, we did not stop looking at how we can create new services for the future. One of the adjustments we had to make was really last December when, after 15 years, or almost 20 years, we had to discontinue our recycling program that we started many, many years ago in order to provide employment for people with developmental disabilities and others. And that was a very, very difficult decision to make. But we made it, and it's the right decision. We also needed to then sell our refuge division. So there were some people with disabilities that lost their jobs as a result of that. But that's one of the things we had to do, knowing that there wasn't a future any longer with Nature's Fuel coming into existence here in Huntington. So that was a tremendous change that was made, and we had to say no to a service that we had been part of for a long, long time. We also had to make some adjustments with our employee group in terms of some benefit reductions and other kinds of reductions to help us as we looked at the future going forward for the organization with the state fiscal situation. And just the announcement a few days ago by Governor Daniels that there are further cuts coming because the state revenues are continuing to not come in at the level that was expected. And so one of the areas, and we don't know the details yet, will be in the Medicaid area. And as you know, the organization is still funded by 80% by Medicaid. And so we anticipated that some of this would happen as an organization, and that we would need to make some changes in the structure of the organization in order to be sustainable in the future, and especially to be here for the people we serve going forward. And over the years, we have become dependent on the profitability that we've gained from our Medicaid services, which is the services to the core of the organization, and that is people with developmental disabilities. And we've been able to create other services as a result, which includes Kids Campus. And so we knew that there was going to be some reduction in the rate systems that support people with developmental disabilities. It hasn't happened yet, but we're beginning to see some of that begin to happen. And so we're trying to prepare for the future. And one of the ways that we can prepare is to try and look at other services that we offer and to enable those services to contribute to the organization so that we can maintain the high level of quality services that we offer to people through the Community Supports Division. And so we are continuing to do that, and we're starting to see some great results from that through very hard work of the Community Connections Division this past year, in spite of the recession and the collapse of the housing market. We have had a record number of people that we supported in buying a home. Interesting enough, we've also have a record number of people that we're supporting in foreclosure counseling. And that should come as no surprise, but the other is a surprise. And we're currently on target to have another record year in that particular area. That means our staff has been working incredibly hard to enable that to happen. We're in the midst of closing 30 to 60 loans a month with individuals buying homes in the region. So it's amazing, and the tax credit being extended is going to continue. And that is also going to be enabling us to have contributions coming in so that we can continue some of our services. We also are having a very, very good year in our commercial operations and through the hard work of Kay and Loretta and others there as well. One of the areas that we're working very hard that has seen probably the worst effect of the recession in the organization is at Kids Campus, with our enrollment dropping from a normal 95% to just around 68%, 70%. And so we're working very, very hard to find every last ounce of savings that we can, and at the same time introduce some new services, and have introduced some new services this past year to try and better serve the community as well, and to look at part-time services for individuals that want to have their children there in child care, and to, like I said, look at other potential services. We're hoping in the next couple of months that we're going to be able to announce a major new service for the community that we've applied for at the federal level. And we're very, very close. We just do not have total confirmation on that yet, but we should be able to announce that in the next few months. We're very, very optimistic that we will receive a major investment for children in this community going forward. I wish I could announce that tonight. We also are expanding our commercial operations, enabling us to do even better at bringing sustainability to the organization. So we're in the midst of this change, and we're in the midst of making some of these transitions in order to continue to try and sustain those high quality services that I want to point out in our brochure or in our annual report to you tonight. Without the support of the staff that we have, we could never achieve this. And so we have had a tremendous year when it comes to our organization and the employees of the organization. We currently have 422 employees of the organization, working 24/7 in over 50 sites scattered over 4 counties. And we have a tremendous technology program that enables us to enable them to be able to report back in electronically from all of these sites, because we have to now track, especially in our supported living programs, we have to track by the hour the support services that we offer to people. And so that requires a lot of documentation, but we now have mixed that with the payroll, so the payroll is generated as a result of the documentation system. So we have an integration that's occurring in our technology that is integrated in all of those sites. So we've been very fortunate to have some great people in our technology department that have enabled us, especially Jen Mason, who's with us tonight, that has been working feverishly to enable that to occur, along with her team and the team that's there, especially led by Matt Miller. We have an average longevity of 7.5 years on the part of each employee. One of the things we've tried to do is reduce the turnover, because good quality services means consistent relationships and consistent staff. And so we have seen a level of turnover rate of 14% this past year compared to the industry average, which can range as high as 50% or higher. So we're doing very well in the terms of retention of people that are dedicated to serving other people. And so all of those individuals are very, very important for the consistency of the effort of our services. We also, in our core area for people with developmental disabilities, we also had 30 individuals this past year graduate with a specialized certificate advanced training in direct support professional work from Ivy Tech. So we were one of the largest graduating classes of the 9 agencies that were in a pilot for that effort. In our employment division, we've been able to serve 64 people in achieving employment this past year. That's a 20% increase from last year. We're continuing to get placements in these rough times because, as you can imagine, when there aren't too many jobs, it's much more difficult to find jobs, especially for people with disabilities where you have to find a job that's very much matched to their skills and abilities. But we also do benefit counseling. We've had 61 people take advantage of that. At Community Connections, as I mentioned, we've had 211 families this past fiscal year buy a home through our services with over $1.2 million in down payment assistance. That's a 22% increase from last year, and we're on target to approach probably 260 to 300 families this next year. In our foreclosure prevention program, we assisted 341 families. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people, and we're on target now of exceeding that this next year, which that's the program you want to try and see go down. And in our community supports division, we've done a lot of efficiencies to enable us to continue to support people, but we've had some great results from the key indicators that we have that are saying that people are very, very satisfied with the quality of our services. It's very high marks in that particular area. I believe it's over 80%. That we continue to monitor that and continue to provide, more importantly, the community supports that people need, so they are not just in a building getting supports, but rather all throughout the community receiving services. So there's lots of challenges, but we've had lots of opportunities to serve people and to expand our services, and we're continually looking for additional ways that we might be able to expand. For instance, in our housing division, we're in the process of creating an acquisition rehabilitation resale program in a neighborhood-based approach, which means that in the neighborhoods, how can we help build up and stabilize neighborhoods? Neighborhoods that include everyone, including elderly people, disabilities, and others, so that they can have higher property values and enriched assets. And we're working in a couple of neighborhoods in Fort Wayne. In one neighborhood, we're working with the Community Development Department here in Huntington in the neighborhood that they're trying to get a neighborhood association for. So those are some of the new and innovative ways that we're trying to service the folks in our community. So lots of things going on. I know I exceeded my 10-minute time limit, Jason. I apologize. But in closing, I would like to acknowledge tonight a very special occasion for me. And that is that I have most of my family with me enjoying this evening, but especially my wife, Judy, who without her, I could not exist and do my job. She's there supporting me from home and also works all the time. But I want to especially say a big thank you to Judy. I could not do it without you. And to Abby, and to Daniel, and to Diana. Thank you, and their significant others for being here as well tonight. So thank you very much for again, your support over the years and for enabling us to become a better and better asset for this community as we move forward into the future. Thank you very much. And so Mark came on with a unique perspective, not only as a family member, but also a businessman in our community, working at the time for Marco Bank, but now works for First Farmers. Mark has been a key person and has chaired our finance committee for many, many years, has been on our housing committees, has been on, I think, some other types of committees as well, and has been there for us every meeting to give us his expertise and his unique perspective to keep us on track in serving people. So Mark, would you please come up so I can say thank you, and we can say thank you to you for your wonderful service to this organization. The other individual I'd like to recognize who also is leaving our board this year is Craig Johnson. Craig is our current board chair and has been for the last 2 years, and has been a rock. He's been there day in and day out. Whenever I call Craig to ask him to give me some advice, or to be there, or to come on in and interview somebody, or all the things that a board chair needs to do, he said, sure, I'll be there. And he's always been there. He started out chairing our Kids Campus Advisory Committee, and was brought on the board because of his siblings being in Kids Campus, and being a rock on that advisory board, and continued to chair that. And then he was asked to step up into leadership positions on the board as the vice chair and then as the chair of the board, and has been there consistently leading us through some great growth times, but also some turbulent times as well. And I want to say a special thank you to Craig for being there for us, for me, day in, day out, each time I've asked. Thank you so much. Please come up.
Thank you, John. It's exciting to hear the progress that has been made in Pathfinder services, even in the face of a difficult economy. So thank you to the staff. Thank you to a very outstanding senior leadership team. I had a chance to spend probably 3 or 4 hours with them. They are a sharp group, and you can be very proud of them, but especially thanks to John for his leadership of this organization, and we are very blessed to have him in the community and leading Pathfinder services. Well, we have some special awards to present this evening, and the first one will be presented by Bill and Barb Hancher. They will come to present this year's Timothy Hancher Direct Services Staff Award. Bill and Barb.
That's a long way away. Pack a lunch the next day. Barb and I created this award in memory of our son Timothy, who had developmental disabilities and lived in a care facility in Logansport from the time he was 11 until 1996, when he died at the age of 26. The award honors a Pathfinder Services staff member who has gone above and beyond the call of duty in providing direct services to our customers. We are fortunate this year to have had several really good nominees. And so we've changed, and we're going to have 2 awards this year instead of 1. So we'll go all the way through the first one, and then we'll come back and go all the way through the second one. So anyway, so now we all know how to do this. Our first recipient was nominated by a fellow co-worker who says she has made the ladies that she serves a very important part of her life. She talks openly with the ladies, helping them to see the importance of the decisions they make in their homes and in their life. She has a true love for the individuals, and that love and dedication does not end when the individuals leave our service. The caseworker continued, once someone leaves the home, the recipient helps other ladies she serves to keep in contact with their former roommates. And the family members have always counted on her just as if she was part of their family to help take care of the loved one. We have found that, I lost my place here, hang on a second. She spent many of her own hours of her own time with clients when they're in nursing homes or something like that because of health issues, and helps take care of them as they're trying to adjust to a new environment. She recently graduated and made the Dean's List from the Direct Support Professional Ivy Tech program in Fort Wayne, which is geared towards making life better for individuals with developmental disabilities. There's something special about her and the way she likes to care for people, and the people she serves understands that. Recipient started working with Pathfinder Services in 1997 as a community integration assistant in the organization. She transferred to community support specialist in 1999 and then became a team leader in 2002, where she has worked with the ladies in her home ever since. It is my honor to present the 2009 Timothy Hancher Direct Services Award to Amy Thornsberry. Some of the ladies that she works with and live with her in her group home are here. If they would like to come up while she gets her award, well, I think everybody would like to meet Laura Buzzard, Michelle Duncan, Stephanie Farrow, and Mary Jo Williams are the 4 ladies that are in with Amy. Our second recipient has been employed with Pathfinder Services for many years. She has worked with parents to discuss concerns and hopes related to their child's development and milestones. And by lending a listening ear, she helps parents cope with the struggles and celebration of raising a child with disabilities. A co-worker stated she treats every family and child with great respect, working hard to provide services to challenge and encourage children's emerging skills. She's very open with communications with the teachers and the families, and always has the child's interest at her heart. I'd like to quote part of a letter from a mother of one of the children, the recipient's children. She states that our recipient is one of the many catalysts in the children's lives that give them the courage and confidence to obtain what they have been trying to do but have not been able to do before. She came into our lives at a vulnerable time, and she has always been very supportive to us. We are blessed and honored to have had her as our son's life and in our life. We know she will continue to do her good works for children coming ahead. The recipient has a long history serving as an occupational therapist in early intervention services. She has worked with special needs children's programming for years from the Pathfinder Kids Campus location. I'd like to have, if there are any of them here this evening, the past members of the First Step families. Are there any First Step families here? If you'd stand up so we could recognize who you are. These are the people that this recipient is working with. And she also, the recipient's family, I believe, is here also this evening, if they would like to stand. And now I've gone all the way through that, and our second recipient for the 2009 Timothy Hancher Direct Services Award is Nancy Lewis. Thank you again for allowing us to do this. I don't remember how many years it's been, but we really enjoyed this opportunity to honor somebody. Pathfinders is an organization that, you know, maybe I've been involved with for a lot of years, and we're just really glad we can continue to do this. So thank you again.
sponsoring that wonderful, significant award, and congratulations to the award recipients tonight as well. Well, each year, Pathfinder Services presents Community Partner Awards to honor individuals and organizations for their outstanding assistance in accomplishing the aims of Pathfinder Services. We have 8 such awards this evening. Those represent the 8 plaques that you see over there. Several members of the Pathfinder Services staff will come forward to tell about the people and organizations they have nominated for these Community Partner Awards. First, to present the Community Partner Award for Pathfinder Services is Jason Meyer, Communications and Marketing Coordinator.
Hello again. The Huntington County Chamber of Commerce has worked with us for many years, and in 2008 we had an outstanding partnership with the Chamber during the Huntington Expo. We partnered with Joanne and Bob and brought in a lot of speakers to the Expo, and it was really a great event where we could hold education sessions for the community and various things. This year the Chamber has promoted and published many of our events on the company website and on their newsletter, as well as countless feature stories. I know if any of you get the Chamber newsletter, we're in there a lot, so we really appreciate all that support. The Chamber works with us, so all of our divisions are involved in the Expo as well as Heritage Days each year. We're constantly communicating back and forth with different floats and things for Heritage Days, and then they even call on us in some cases to seek out more information on our programs so we can have a great communication. So for our outstanding partnership with the Chamber this year, I'd like to call Lori Mickley, who's a Huntington County Chamber Board member and of course Pathfinder Foundation member, and Joanne Bruneau actually to come up and accept this award. So.
Congratulations to you both. Our next award will be presented by Sandy Wing, Senior Director of Community Services for Pathfinder Services. She'll be presenting the first Community Partner Award chosen by Pathfinder Community Supports.
Boogie Down DJs out of Huntington has been conducting the Client Council dances in Huntington for the past several years. The division started using Boogie Down DJs when our regular DJ was unavailable for a dance several years ago. Boogie Down agreed to do our dance at a reduced rate and took our clients in like they had known us for years. Boogie Down knows exactly what our clients like to hear. They take requests for songs, and they always work with us, no matter how short the notice is that we give them. The discount provided allows us to give our clients a great party twice a year on a very small budget. Additionally, we're excited about them being our DJ for our company celebration that's going to be next Saturday. For their generosity to the clients of Pathfinder Community Supports and everything they have done for our organization over the years, it is my honor to present this Community Partner Award to Boogie Down DJs, Gary and Angela Davison.
Sandy, as I was looking over the script, I thought that was the most enjoyable name of the evening, Boogie Down DJs. Right, yeah. Jennifer McKee, Community Integration Team Leader for Pathfinder Services, will come to present the second Community Partner Award chosen by Pathfinder Community Supports.
Hello. The Knox Moose Family Center donates their facility for our Pathfinder Client Council's annual fish fry every year. In addition to the donation of the facility, the Moose provides food for the event as well as allowing all the proceeds raised from the event to profit our Client Council. Our Client Council then uses the funds raised from our annual fish fry to do various field trips, cookouts, dinners throughout the year for the clients that normally could not afford to do so. Along with the fun-filled fellowship opportunities, the money also is used for medical and various other necessities that may not be covered, and has even helped pay for a few funeral services to help with the financial burden left on family and guardians. Tonight it is my honor to present the Community Partner Award to Ron Singleton from the Knox Moose Family Center for everything you have done throughout the years to help the Pathfinder Community Supports and the Client Council. Thank you.
John Mignon, President of Pathfinder Foundation Board of Directors, will present the next Community Partner Award, which has been chosen by Pathfinder Foundation and Pathfinder Community Supports.
A couple members told me I couldn't use the 2 best jokes I ever came up with from the chamber breakfast earlier this week. And I'm sorry I didn't bring the tape along. I played a song, Father Ron wouldn't remember it, but Make Someone Happy by Jimmy Durante. I think it's appropriate because back in March, Pathfinders Foundation had received a request from USA Dance Sport to fund ballroom dancing, a little bit more sophisticated than boogie, whatever that was. But this was an organization that can be conducted, and some of the clients from Pathfinder Community Supports would be participating. And as the foundation did further review, we really found out this was an incredible program. It was kind of like a local Dancing with the Stars opportunities for a number of our clients. And in fact, we had 9 clients this year that were served by Pathfinder Community Supports that actually participated in the program up in Fort Wayne. The clients practiced every Monday up till the July 4th event. And this year, Vivian Haynes spearheaded this program, was there almost every week in and out, helping them with their practices, there to support them during the competition. And it was a tremendous and rewarding program for the clients, for everyone that participated. I know we've got 9 going back again this year, and maybe 5 more are anticipated to be participating. Looking really forward to it. Carol Austin, Community Recreation Specialist for Pathfinders, couldn't be here tonight to present the award. She's also having fun again tonight with a group of clients up in Fort Wayne at a bowling tournament. So I'm here on her behalf, and I just want to say for her outstanding dedication to the clients of Pathfinders Community Supports, it's really my honor to present this Community Partner Award to Vivian Hans.
So we have ballroom dancing and boogie downs. That's great. Our next award will be presented by Lisa Metler, Administrator of Pathfinder Kids Campus, and she will announce this year's Community Partner Award winner chosen by the staff of Kids Campus.
Thank you. Good evening. Kids Campus would like to honor Greta Schinkel. Greta has been I might tear up. Greta has been a volunteer with us since 1991. Well, actually, to use Greta's words, she works at Kids. Greta creates lasting bonds with the children and families she works with, and those bonds last even after the family graduates from Pathfinder Kids Campus. Since Greta and the staff of Pathfinder Kids Campus don't see her position as a volunteer, we depend on her. If she is unable to make it to Kids, she emails or calls with plenty of advance notice to let us know the change in her schedule and to keep us updated. Greta takes pride in her work at Pathfinder Kids Campus. From reading books, playing, assisting children with their meals, office help with the shredding, I've nicknamed her Greta the Shredder, and her least favorite, laundry. Her overwhelming love and passion for the staff and children of Pathfinder Kids Campus is priceless. Greta volunteers anywhere from 20 to 25 hours per week and has been doing so since 1991. And so it's my honor to present this award to Greta Schinkel.
Congratulations, Greta. Community Partner Award selected by Pathfinder Resource Connection will be presented by Mary Ann Cordell, Employment Specialist at Resource Connection.
Good evening. Angie Beecham, owner of Modocs Market in Wabash, has offered so much support to Pathfinder Resource Connection over the years. Angie has not only employed 3 of our clients, but has also allowed Resource Connection to use Modocs as an assessment site to evaluate our clients' skills and strengths. Angie also rents efficiency apartments above the market, taking in a young man who she referred to Resource Connection for employment services. She eventually became one of his guardians. Her advocacy and sincere concern have changed this young man's life. I've always felt that Modocs Market is not just a market, it's a ministry. Angie goes above and beyond the role of employer. Her warmth and her compassion are contagious. For her work with Pathfinder Resource Connection, I am honored to present Modocs Market and Angie Beecham with the Community Partner Award.
Trish Carpenter, Real Estate Manager at Pathfinder Community Connections, will present our 7th Community Partner Award.
Good evening. Lake City Bank partnered with Pathfinder Community Connections this year, and really in the last 7 months we have been able to provide over $400,000 in down payment assistance. This money has been used for approximately 120 families to put towards a down payment on a home, which reduces their mortgage payments and allows for their life, reduces the mortgage payments for the life of their loan, and starts these folks out on the right foot during home ownership. Additionally, Lake City Bank and Community, Pathfinder Community Connections, and Fort Wayne Baptist Church partnered to target homeownership to the growing Burmese population in Fort Wayne. Many of these folks come to the city of Fort Wayne with no place to live. And hopefully through this partnership we can assist them in building wealth and setting them on their path to homeownership as well. And just yesterday, John Niederman and I met with Lake City Bank and many of their employees to discuss a new portfolio mortgage loan product that they're creating. So, for their support of Pathfinder Community Connections, and for always working with us to find new and innovative ways to help people purchase a home, it's my honor to present this Community Partner Award to Lake City Bank and Ralph Beamel.
Our final Community Partner Award recipient, this one selected by Pathfinder Community Connections Transitional Housing, was not able to be with us this evening. But let me tell you a little bit about the recipient, WTCA AM 1050 in Plymouth, Indiana. As many of you know, Pathfinder Community Connections Transitional Housing Program assists families who are homeless along the path towards self-sufficiency in Huntington, Marshall, and Stark counties. In 2008, WTCA made Christmas very special for the families in the program in the Plymouth area. The radio station delivered gift baskets full of food as well as toys and clothes to the families in the transitional housing program. The families spoke of their children receiving the perfect gift from Santa that they did not think they could afford at Christmas. The radio station hand-delivered these gifts to the families' homes and even recruited the mayor of Plymouth to assist last year. WTCA AM 1050 will be receiving their award in a special presentation later this year. But let's, they're not here, but let's recognize them for the work that they've done. My congratulations to all the Partner Award recipients. You have assisted greatly in the work of Pathfinder Services.
Disabilities. Each year, the board gives an award in his name to an individual or organization whose daily examples help people with and without disabilities become more integral parts of the Huntington County community. Unfortunately, Kay Lamont, his wife, is unable to be here tonight, but usually we have a presentation. She can't do a presentation. I can't be Kay, but I'll try to do my best. We tried to make this brief, but it was very hard to do this. So we had to, for this recipient, had to thank Judy Frischman for her nomination of this person several years ago, and took experts of her speech to try to come up with something short. The story of this year's recipient began in 1973 when she was born in Huntington County. When the recipient was 2, she arrived at the Village Training Center and worked with Judy, Katie Amick, and Mary Brennan over the years, where she learned to read, write phonetically, first printing, and then cursive. She worked with money, paying for purchases, and counting her change. Thanks to everyone she worked with, she also learned and practiced the social graces that made her, this little girl, very acceptable both to peers and adults, even though she had autism. There were countless examples of kindnessness for this year's recipient throughout her school year, her school career, including donating her coat to another child who was cold and forgot hers that day. She always had great manners, speech, skills, and caring that made her an inspiring role model to other students throughout her school career. After she graduated in May of 1991, she started her chosen career of volunteering. She volunteered for many years with the Huntington County Community School Corporation for 2 to 3 days each week, helping to encourage the students. One story that Judy supplied is as follows. When our class moved to Riverview School to be with peers of our age, she was a perfect role model for everyone in the lunchroom. She always had her napkin in her lap, always chose fruit instead of gooey desserts, and always helped us carry trays for those in wheelchairs and opened countless milk cartons. Everyone wanted a seat at her table because she passed out M&Ms if they finished the food. This year's recipient is an avid swimmer and is not shy about exhibiting her swimming skills. She continues swimming on Wednesdays and bowls each Friday with clients of Pathfinder Community Supports. This year's recipient has volunteered at Pathfinder Kids Campus since 1991, where she continually volunteers Monday through Wednesday for 25 to 30 hours each week. And she's been there over 18 years. I think it's 19 now. She spends the first day, part of her day, she volunteers at the Adventures classroom, and the second half of her day in the Premier preschool classroom, helping the teachers each and every day. In 1994, her parents were awarded with the Herbert D. Lamont Award for their support and encouragement of adults and children with disabilities. For her support and encouragement to thousands of children in the Huntington community, as a volunteer, it is my honor to present the 2009 Herbert D. Lamont Award. Please stand up, Greta Schinkel.
Okay. My name is Greta Schinkel. I got this book when I got up to the lake, one of the stores I got. It's about feelings. Feelings mean Down syndrome. That I know know someone who has that. It's Sarah Barker. Okay. Sitting down with someone who cares can make you feel better and help you see your problems in a new light. That someone cares about you and wants you to feel better. And Vicki Correct, her grandson had a birthday. And I know Vicki, she cares about me. And well, I help in the adventures room. I have a dear friend named Riley. And he hands me a book. And Nate Garber comes and sits on my lap and gives me a book. Let's see. Tammy and I made a lot of copies of Feelings with all those fruit papers. And made a lot of copies. And Tammy and I will work on that. Okay, this will be the end.
Congratulations, that was a great speech. You're very deserving and obviously have cared for a lot of folks. Well, now I'd like to introduce tonight's speaker. It's great to welcome to Huntington Chantel Cecilia Kira. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Chantel has combined her passion for empowering others, her love of writing, and her personal interest in autism to become an award-winning author and speaker known for her practical advice on raising children and teens with autism. Currently, Chantel's most important task is transitioning both of her teenagers, one is severely impacted by autism, out of high school and into adulthood. Chantel has recently been appointed by the California Senate Select Committee on Autism and Related Disorders to co-chair the South County's Autism Regional Task Force. In her spare time, and it sounds like she doesn't have a lot, she continues to write books and articles as well as moderate webinars. Chantel's son, Jeremy, has been highlighted in the Newsweek cover story, Growing Up with Autism, and featured in the MTV documentary True Life series in I Have Autism, which was the recipient of the 2008 Voice Award. I know we'll be prepared to be moved and inspired. Please welcome with me our speaker for the evening, Chantel Cecilia Kira.
Ladies and gentlemen, I feel honored to come here to help you celebrate all the accomplishments of your past year and help you move forward into the future, which of course will be full of change. A wise man once said, "Nothing endures but change." And how many parents are there out here? Lots of parents, right? Well, all of you know that's true. As soon as you think you have it figured out, you have to start all over again, right? Because your children have moved and changed, and even in a matter of a few months. As they get older, sometimes it's a few years, but nothing endures but change. So for me, having raised two children, one of them severely impacted by autism, and the other one who's currently severely impacted by adolescence, my life has continually been filled with change. And the first change, the first dramatic change in my life was when I first started working with individuals with autism. And this was a long time before I had my son. And I was attending the University of California at Irvine, and I needed a full-time job, and I met someone who was working at the state hospital, and he said, yeah, they're always looking for people there. So I applied to work at the state hospital, and I loved the people that I met that interviewed me. So I accepted the job. I had no clue as to what I was doing. And the first day that I showed up on the job, this gentleman came up to me, because I was waiting in a little room for my new bosses. And he said, hi, my name is Greg. I used to be a television newscaster. My specialty is sports. And he started giving me all the statistics about sports and asking me all these things about the Olympics that were happening at the moment, and had I watched the World Series and all of this. And I thought, wow, what a dedicated man that a news sportscaster would leave his job in TV and come work here. And then I looked on the list and realized that he was the guy I was going to be teaching how to tie his shoelaces to. That was my first contact with autism. And one of I think about all the things that I wish I'd known before, and one of the things I wish I'd known before working at Fairview State Hospital with these wonderful people like Greg is, I wish they'd had Rain Man, because if I'd seen Rain Man before working at Fairview State Hospital, then I would have known a little bit more what to expect. But it's a really wonderful experience. I worked there for 2 years to help the first group of young adults that were going to be deinstitutionalized and live in group homes in the community. And it's really kind of interesting for me, speaking of change, because right now I'm working with my son trying to get him ready to live out in the community, hopefully eventually in supported living out of his house, out of our house. So, of course, the way it's going now, though, I'm thinking, and I'm sure that, how many people here are parents of teenagers? Okay, it doesn't matter whether they're neurotypical or not. By the time you have 2 teenagers in the house, you're thinking about moving out and leaving the teenagers at home, right? So that's about it. So after working at Fairview State Hospital, I became a case manager, which is a social worker for families with developmental disabilities. And then I got married to my sweetheart, who was someone from the old neighborhood where I had been raised in New York. And he was on his way to Europe, so I thought, how exciting. I'd love to live for a year in Europe, get to know my family, because they were French. I'd been raised in America, totally bilingual. And it wasn't until I moved to France that I realized my parents weren't weird. They were just French. They overreacted over everything. Seriously. Their diagnosis was French. So I can say that because I am French, okay? But if you say that to me, watch out. So I moved over there, and that's where my 2 children were born. And when Jeremy was not developing properly, I was trying to get help for him. And everyone kept telling me there was nothing wrong with him. And I thought that he had autistic-like tendencies, and the French kept telling me, no, there's nothing wrong with him, but you need to see a psychoanalyst. And I thought, probably I do, but not because I have a son with autism or what I think is autism. But by the time they got around to diagnosing him, it turns out that the reason why they were telling me to go see a psychoanalyst was because in France, that was the treatment at the time, 20 years ago, for someone with autism, was psychoanalysis. So here is the 3rd session now, and I had dragged my husband with me, thank goodness, for the 3rd one, because otherwise there would be no witnesses and people would think I made this up. But I'm sitting there in the office, and my son is twirling this little plastic object that actually, it's like a plastic salt and pepper shaker, and he's twirling them, and that psychoanalyst is analyzing everything he's doing, and she says, oh, you're twirling objects. Why are you twirling objects? Oh, and there are 2 of them. Do they remind you of your mother's breasts? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm not looking at my husband at this point anymore. Okay? Oh, they must remind you of your mother's breasts. Mrs. Cecile Cure, for how long did you breastfeed your son? So I'm thinking, okay, this is like right out of a Woody Allen movie, right? There must be a camera somewhere. So I just start opening my mouth to answer her, and all of a sudden Jeremy drops one of the little round things that he's twirling, and she screams, he's lost his mother's breast, he's lost his mother's breast. It's my first reaction. And my second one was, of course, I'm not looking at my husband. I'm going to break up laughing. So she starts asking me again, was the separation difficult? And yada, 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 about the breastfeeding and so forth and so on. And meanwhile, Jeremy was pulling himself across the rug to find the object which had rolled under a piece of furniture. So I was amazed because that's a big developmental step, to go look for an object that's missing. And he had never done that before. So I was really excited about that, but she thought I was excited that I had finally found out why my son was autistic. So she went on and on and on. And as soon as we left, my husband and I burst out laughing, but of course after that, we were very upset because I knew about autism and I'd worked with people with autism, and so I wasn't going to listen to any advice she gave me, but I thought about the poor parents who would hear this kind of advice. So I wish I'd known sooner that the breastfeeding would make my son autistic, because I would have figured out a different way of doing it. So the other change that was really big in my life was that we moved to England, because since we couldn't get the services we needed for my son, I mean, he did not have a right to an education. In those days, they were allowed in psychiatric hospitals, but parents were not allowed to see what they were doing. So there was no way I was going to put my child somewhere where I couldn't see what kind of treatment he was having. And I thought, if he's having psychoanalysis, I didn't know how far that would get him. So we moved to England, and Jeremy was 4, Rebecca was 1. And there, what did I learn? I learned that it wasn't autism, but it was my American upbringing. You know, I was just a bad mother because I was American, obviously. I say that tongue-in-cheek, but you know, in England, when you go to the parks, they always say, shh, be quiet, you're making too much noise. And I'm thinking, well, where the heck are they supposed to make noise? Are they supposed to make noise in their house? So every time Jeremy would do something like run around when he wasn't supposed to, they always assumed it was because I was a bad mother, because I was American, I just let him do what he wanted to do. But you know, I didn't really care at that point what they thought. The interesting thing about Jeremy right now is that he can communicate now, and he could not for the longest time. He could say a few words, but over the last 5 or 6 years, I have been able to, with the help of the school district, to teach him to spell out using this method called the rapid prompting method. So he can spell out on a letterboard. And recently, he started writing his life story for a book and explaining. I started asking him, why did he do things that he did when he was young? And some of those things I wish I'd known earlier, because it would have helped me in how I taught him. So the first thing that I asked him about was if he remembered anything in France. And what he said to me was, what he spelled out, I remember my mom took me to see a psychoanalyst who said I was autistic because my mom did not breastfeed me enough. I think the psychoanalyst was really crazy. My autism had nothing to do with not enough of my mother's milk. My autism began long before my birth. I may be autistic, but I am not stupid. I know my family loved me. Good parents, no refrigerators. You know, because of the refrigerator mother symbolism. But what was even more insightful to me is why he was so into patterns. Because when we lived in Paris, he used to always follow patterns. The first thing he did when he learned to walk was to follow the pattern in the rug, not go to dad or to mom. So I asked him about patterns, and he said that he liked looking at patterns as a baby because patterns gave just the right kind of order to my world. They gave me a sense of security. Good patterns are like good friends, they make you feel great. Really good patterns are like really good friends, they help you get over the worst bad times. And it reminds me that in moments of change, and for people with autism, change is everything from changing one person or changing one activity to the big changes like changing to a school or a different environment. They need something that helps them make order to the chaos of their world. And that, for Jeremy at that time, was pattern, but for some people now, that's why they carry around a piece of string or their favorite book. They need something that gives them order to what they perceive as chaos because of their sensory processing issues. So change is even a bigger thing for people on the spectrum than it is for us. So in England, the other thing that was interesting about my time there was the grannies who would come up to you and say, God gives special children only to very special people. And I thought, you know, that's really sweet. But what I don't get is I know all these very special people and they have normal kids. So what makes me more special than them? Not that I don't love the fact that I have my Jeremy. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but still, it just makes no sense to me. It was just as much as the breastfeeding. And by the way, I usually get really good evaluations, but I have been known to get evaluations that say charmingly inappropriate at times. So I'm trying to be really careful because I know I'm in a religious school. So I hope to say the word breastfeeding was okay. And I'll try to other words. Coming from New York, it's really hard. So the other thing that I wish I'd known sooner when I was that I found out about the time my son was in England when he could communicate, he said, was that his autism for him means that his body doesn't work right. And so this is what he says about that time. Because I have to say that I had to teach my son everything, physically speaking. Like at first I thought he had a muscle problem, not autism. If you sit him up, his back was curved, and if he fell over, he wouldn't put his hands out. And he rolled over once when he was 9 months and he never did it again. So I got a physical therapist and I taught him absolutely everything, how to use, and to this day, it takes hand over hand to teach him anything that's a motor skill. So here's what he says. Just think of what it would be like not being able to move your body like you want. People thought I was retarded because I could not move my muscles to talk. Not being able to talk does not mean you are retarded. It means you need to find a way to communicate. Being severely autistic for me means being stuck in a body that doesn't work well with no way to communicate. So think of the people you know that can't communicate because they may be stuck inside their body. So now it's the move to California from England. And I have to say that along the way I got involved back in autism, and I belong to a lot of nonprofit organizations and helped with support groups, and we opened up the first resource center in the county of Berkshire in England for children with Asperger's. So I was very happy to be back working with the people that I first really enjoyed when I was at college. So California, here I come. So here I am in San Diego now. I am back to having my son, who is now a client of a lot of the services for which I worked, which is quite interesting because I had the professional background of knowing the difficulties as a professional, but the parent wanting to have everything that I could possibly have to help my son. Sometimes it felt like beam me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life on this planet, because you find yourself in a different point of view when you're a parent, and you move from place to place trying to get help, which is what inspired me to write my first book, Autism Spectrum Disorders. I thought it shouldn't be so hard for parents. And at the time, I mean, I know I look like I'm only 25, and so you think it was very recent. But at the time, the internet was not something that was accessible in people's homes, and so people couldn't have easy access to information. Now it's the complete opposite. I write books because there's too much information on the internet, and people need help in knowing how to figure out what's right. So things I wish I'd known sooner when I lived in California was that you may have the greatest laws on earth when it comes to education, but just because you have the laws doesn't mean that you have really everything that you need for your child, and also everything's different from one school district to another. And because you have a one-on-one aide doesn't mean that the aide has any training. So there's all this learning curve that goes to when you move from one place to another that comes with change, when you change from one environment to another. But I loved being back in California. The services were really wonderful. But again, now when it comes to autism and what caused my son's autism, it's now autism is caused by, and fill in the blank, because we really don't know. For everyone, it's something different. But I do know, I still think maybe it does come from Fairview State Hospital and osmosis or dirty doorknobs, because I did work in that environment for 2 years. They say you can't catch it through osmosis, but from some of the things they're telling us that can cause autism, maybe I did, who knows? Now the most interesting change of my life is having adolescents, both on and off the spectrum. So I think that the teen years, when my son hit puberty and then my daughter soon followed, I think that's when I discovered martinis. Am I allowed to say that here? As long as I'm not drinking any? So martinis, yes, every once in a while they do help. Not before 10 anytime though. So I do wish that I'd known sooner that autism and adolescence, well, you know, each on their own, they're pretty difficult, but together, what a volatile mix. So here's some things that one of the things you may not know is that I'm actually one of the top adolescent experts in the United States, which is why sometimes I'm charmingly inappropriate, because I need to talk about topics that adolescents can bring up to memory. Most of you who do remember that far back, I think, or now, you know, as you get older, you forget the things, right? But we often think that when I'm out speaking, people come up and talk to me about all these adolescent issues. And one of the things that keeps coming up is they say, his autism's getting worse, or her autism's getting worse. And I say, that's not getting worse, they're teenagers. Oh my gosh, no, they're becoming more non-compliant. Teenagers are non-compliant. That is a teenage trait, it has nothing to do with autism. The other thing is, adolescents, they like to make their own decisions. They're usually just not the same as yours. Another thing I discovered is teenagers are never hungry at the same time as you are. Dinner time doesn't matter anymore. So it doesn't have to do with they're autistic and they don't want to sit. Even if they did sit before, they don't want to sit anymore. So I wish I would have had my daughter first because she's the neurotypical one and I would know better what's the difference, which behavior is really the adolescent behavior and which behavior is the autism. But change, it is a big thing. There are some other teenage activities that begin with an M word that's not martini, which most people like to talk about, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that here. I will just say that I am asked often to go out and speak on a topic that's autism, puberty, hygiene, sexuality. So one day I get invited to the state of Utah to speak on puberty, hygiene, sexuality. I send in my PowerPoints. 2 weeks before my presentation, I get an email. You may not use the M word in the state of Utah. Okay, so is that the word Mormon, martini, money? And I'm not going to say the other word because I don't know if I'm allowed to hear it. But I think you can use your imagination. So I thought, please, can I come and speak about preparing for work? Because I wouldn't have to use any of those words that you say I'm not allowed to say in Utah. That takes off half of, you know, let's not talk about sexuality then, puberty, hygiene, I can handle without using any of those words. What am I supposed to use, sign language? Okay, I didn't get struck down yet. Is the Reverend still here? I was raised Catholic, by the way. So, the state of Utah, though, it was really interesting because when I got to the place, I reworked all my PowerPoints so that I could be very appropriate. Because I talk about these things in terms of behavior, not from, you know, I think it's up to parents to put their teachings around, but we do have to talk about certain behaviors because of the situation that people with autism don't always know about private and public, and what's a public and appropriate behavior and what's a private behavior, and so that's why these situations come up. So I get to Utah and I look at the conference book, and lo and behold, they have my original PowerPoints in there with all the words that I'm supposedly not supposed to say. So I thought, okay, you know, I guess I'm allowed to use them. So my room is full of people, standing room only, 80 people, and I'm very careful, because I'm always very careful when, you know, when I say, you know, I'm going to talk about something that's a little delicate, you may wish to leave the room, whatever, nobody left the room, everybody was fine, people talked to me all weekend, and then evening of the fundraising dinner, of which I was mistress of ceremony, and I raised a lot of money, I did a roast and everything. Afterwards, the organizer came up to me with his wife and said, great, you know, thank you very much, you raised a lot of money. How was it giving a talk without using the M word? I said, Larry, it was in the book, so I used the we use the word, the M word or those other words in the state of Utah. His wife is saying, I'm saying, well, I'm sorry, you know, forgive me, but it's done. The funny thing is, 2 weeks later, I see a marketing email through the autism community going through, top autism expert webinar, $39.99. Sign up here. And I'm thinking, oh, I wonder who this person is, because there's only a few of us, and it's me. So I'm like, well, where did this come from? So I look it up, and I realize that they had taken my tape and sold it to make money. And my first reaction, of course, I was not happy, but my second one is I was laughing in stitches, because if I had not used the M word, do you think they would have been able to sell it? So anyway, that's I know that seems like it's a little bit off topic, but all of you who have adolescents, especially those, you know, if you have any with autism, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Nothing is sacred. Girls, 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 that's what my son is into now. So the thing is, most teenagers go through a period where they're into girls and dating, or boys and dating, but the thing is, if you have a neurotypical teenager, you don't have to talk about it. You know, you give the birds and bees talk, and you give them the whole thing about relationship and partner and marriage and love and lifelong, but you don't have to you don't know what's really going on, and you're just happy you don't know, and that's that. But that's not the way it is if you're a parent of someone with autism. So my son decided 2 years ago, even though you know, he's really into girls, girls, girls. So the first cute thing that had to do with girls is that he decided to work out at the gym. And he used to have a male tutor who would take him to the gym in his apartment building, but he moved because he was getting married. So he would take Jeremy. He still wanted to take Jeremy to the gym, but we had to find a gym. So we went around to 3 different gyms to interview, find out how much does it cost. And Jeremy, I teach him to self-advocate, so he has his letter board and his light writer, and he's asking questions. So you know, he's supposed to ask questions like, how much does it cost, and how often can I come, and how do I pay? No, 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 no. How many girls come here? What time of the day is the best time to come for the girls? Okay. We get to the his emotions. So here's what he had to say about that. People ask, do I feel emotions? Yes, I do. I just can't show them. Like when my mom helps me, I am really grateful that I can't get my face to move. The other day, Donna, she's a support person, thought I was crying, but I was happy. I just can't always get my muscles to move the way I want them to. So that was really interesting to me, because it's true that facial-wise, we don't always know what he's thinking. And he doesn't seem to always have the same reactions we do. And I have to say that through this adolescent phase, that instilled me to write my second book, which was the Adolescents on the Autism Spectrum book, because I thought that all this information I would find to help Jeremy through the puberty stuff, but also through the transition in high school, could be useful information to others, because I had to find it all myself. There wasn't much information out there. But then as Jeremy went along through transition, another change that was happening is I realized he only had a couple of years left in school, and I did not want to waste his time. And I thought, what is really, really important to teach him before he goes out in the real world? I mean, we talk about independence, but what do people on the spectrum say is important? And that is why I wrote the third book, which is Autism Life Skills. I went and interviewed people on the spectrum, people who had good communication skills, people who had Asperger's, or people who were just typers, and asked them what was important to them growing up. And it was really very, very insightful about how sensory processing is something that impacted everyone. It didn't matter if they were if they had Asperger's, or if they had high-functioning autism, or if they were very impacted like my son. And safety. Safety was another issue too, because many times, especially those with Asperger's, people think that they're so able, and they are so able, but in other ways they are not, and they need our help and support, but people don't realize they do, and they get bullied. And they get bullied from unknowing teachers as well. Like, the teachers don't get the fact that even though they're really smart, they can't write down the homework and listen to them at the same time. And so then they lose out at the beginning of the class, and then they're lost. And then people say, well, you weren't paying attention, or maybe they talk to someone in a monotone tone of voice and they think, well, you were just being rude. Or if they overreact to someone who's been picking them on them over time, then they're the ones who get in trouble, when actually they've been bullied perhaps by other people. So there's a lot of things like that, and thank gosh, yeah, I did say that, right, didn't I? Or I guess I could say thank God, because I do thank God for this, that we are becoming more knowledgeable in very many ways for people with all different abilities, but because my specialty is autism, I have to put that in there. So having had Jeremy has really changed my life in very many ways, in that it has made me become very active in the autism community and found the roots back to where I was when I was in high school. Recently, about 3 months ago, I was at a Starbucks and I was trying to write because I wasn't getting any quiet at home with 2 teenagers in the house. And in California, it's kind of interesting because you can be in the Starbucks writing away, and there's always somebody there in flip-flops and shorts, and they're always multimillionaires, okay? So, because I guess they have nothing to do but hang around at Starbucks. So I'm sitting there typing away on my computer, and this man is talking to everybody around, and turns out he's a multimillionaire, he owns 20 businesses, he starts talking to me. He actually operates a business as a divorce mediator, and he describes himself as a divorce mediator come marriage therapist who considers himself an Eastern spiritual psychologist. I have to check my notes every time because I don't believe this, but it's true. This is California, what can I say? It's not Indiana. And so here's what he told me. So I'm thinking maybe this can solve the problem sometimes of why I've gone through so many changes in my life. He says, we all have 8,000 lives to live out our karma. And he said, you, obviously, are close to the end of working off your karma. So I'm thinking, great, does that mean I get to come back as a multimillionaire next time? Flip-flops, hanging around Starbucks, that sounds good to me. And then I started thinking, but wait a minute. Does it mean that I'm working out my karma, or is Jeremy working out his karma? And when Jeremy's doing a Martha Stewart and redecorates the house and there are stains on the wall and the floor you don't want to know about, is that my karma or his karma that's getting worked off? There's a lot of things here I really have to think about. So, you know, that keeps me up at night now. But the funniest thing is a few weeks later, I get an email from this man, the multi-millionaire, who still obviously has time to write to people he barely knows, emails. And he sends me an email saying that he had checked out, the reason why he had my website address because his son was a website developer and maybe he could redo my website and make more money. So I'm thinking, well, if he's a multimillionaire, maybe I should become a nonprofit and he could do my website for free, but that's another story. I'm still working on those ideas. I may have to hang around, you know, Starbucks more often, but I think I need to have a nonprofit status first. Still thinking about it. Anyway, so he looked up my website and he wrote this email saying that he'd seen my books at the bookstore, he'd looked at them, and he was very impressed with what I did. So here's what he wrote to me. Listen carefully. You are blessed in this life and are doing mush to ease the pain of others through your own experiences. You are doing mush to ease the pain of others through your own experiences. He obviously can't afford spell check. But anyway, I thought that's great. I am doing mush to ease the pain of others. But I guess that's my karma, or maybe it's Jeremy. But again, that's why we all live through the experiences that we have. So what have I learned from all my experiences? And what does that have to do with change? Well, again, nothing endures but change. And one of the biggest things I've learned, and I think it's true for whether you're a parent, or an educator, or a service provider, or a person with a different ability, you always have to be ready for the unexpected. Because if you're ready for change, and you're ready for the unexpected, then you won't ever be disappointed. You're only disappointed if you're expecting one thing and that one thing doesn't happen. But we all know how for people on the spectrum, flexibility is very difficult, and that's why we, the neurotypicals, should be the ones who are more flexible and more accepting of the differences in other people. And again, why one big piece of advice I have, and I mentioned it earlier about transition, is when there are moments of change, to try and, as much as possible, give notice to people who have autism, whether it's a change in the person that's going to be helping them, or a change in something that's going to be happening in their schedule, or a change in their environment. Because for them, they can over time learn to be flexible, but just telling them, that's the one thing that I learned that everybody told me who I interviewed for the book, telling them what was going to happen was the best thing, was the one thing. If they could only pick one thing, that's the one thing they wished that everybody knew. The other thing I wanted to say is, if you change your thoughts, you change the world, because it does start from what we think. And I think it was Einstein who once said that insanity is doing the same thing over again, but expecting different results. And I think about that every time the darn computer's not working, and I do the same thing over and over, because I know the 50th time I'm going to do it, it's going to work. I think that's a female trait, I'm not sure. But maybe there's a disability for that, I don't know. Maybe there's a diagnosis for that I don't know about. But it's true that if we change the way we think, then we can change the world, because everything that's happened in the world has started as a change or a thought in someone's mind. Another thing with people on the spectrum is that instead of focusing, or even people just of different abilities, instead of focusing always on their differences or on what's lacking, because we're kind of raised to do that. As parents, actually, when we want help, we have to tell them what's wrong with our kid or what's going wrong. And if we want help at school, we have to look at what's wrong. But actually, as they get older, we have to spend a lot more time looking at what they have that makes them unique. What are the different abilities they have that we can build upon? Because that's going to be the foundations for the success of their future. You know, it's like I have this son who's going to be 21 January 1st, and by the way, he's going to Las Vegas in March to celebrate his birthday with the male tutors in the house. That's their deal. So I don't want to know what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that here, but I'm going to anyway. The funny thing is, my son wanted to go see the movie Hangover. How many of you have seen the movie Hangover? Okay. It's not a very appropriate movie. And so I thought I would take it to see, because whenever my kids are older and they want to see something inappropriate, I see it with them so we can talk about it, okay? Because if my son, my husband, he doesn't see anything inappropriate in anything. So I don't know if that's male, or maybe he has autism, but we won't talk about that tonight. You're not taping this, are you? You're not going to send it to husband. So, but a male tutor said, Jeremy said he wants to go to the movie, he wants to see Hangover. And I thought, well, he wants to go see Hangover with a guy. Okay, I'll just go see it on my own to know what's in it so I can talk about it later. Do you know what Jeremy did for the first time ever? Fell asleep at the movies within the first 10 minutes. And I'm glad he did, because I managed to see the movie on a plane. I thought, I can't believe that my son would have seen this movie. So I'm glad he fell asleep. So, but obviously, I thought it was kind of interesting the support person didn't like wake him up and get him out of there. I guess the support person thought, sweet, I get to watch the movie now. But that's okay, you know. You have to be flexible, right? So you have to build on what it is that they have. And I don't know why I brought up that Las Vegas and Jeremy was turning 20 and he went to Las Vegas, but I don't know, I guess it'll come back to me in a minute or two. See, and I didn't even have any martinis today. So there you go. But the thing is, for example, with Jeremy, with building on, I know what the point I was going to make is focusing on the positives instead of the negatives, or what they do have. Jeremy, still at 20, has issues with toileting, okay? And this has been, I think that's why every once in a while I get a cat or a dog, because I can toilet train it within 2 weeks and I feel so accomplished. Right? It actually listens to me. When I say, come here, handsome, that's the name of the dog. He comes running. It's like the only thing at the house that listens to me now. Which might be one of the reasons why I may move out. But the thing is that if I just focused on fixing the toileting issue, I would have no energy to look at, okay, what are the accomplishments that Jeremy can do right now? Jeremy knows how to write. And You know what Jeremy's decided he wants to do? He wants to write material for general education teachers and peers so they know how to include someone like him. Because he's spent 8 years in high school because he can only take 2 classes a semester because his finger gets really tired. I don't blame him. And so I thought, isn't that great? So I helped him, you know, at school now I suggested to the school, could he write somewhere? And they gave him his own column in the school newspaper. And he's writing things for other people. So he's learning about having deadlines for writing, also about writing for different audiences, like writing for the students versus writing for an autism magazine or writing for the parent newsletter. Now, if I just spent all my energy focusing on he is not 100% toilet trained, he has issues with his toileting, which by the way has to do with sensory processing for him, then he would lose out all this other stuff. So, you know, the toileting is going to come one day maybe. I know people with Asperger's who still have toileting issues. They just can set their timer to remind them to use the bathroom when they can't feel their body, because that's what a lot of people with Asperger's have told me. They can't feel their body when they're in sensory overwhelm. When they're out in public, they set their timers to remind themselves to use the bathroom. Now, I don't want to embarrass anybody in here who has Asperger's. I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying some people with Asperger's, the people who have really significant sensory processing issues, have shared that with me. And so someone like Jeremy can't set his alarm himself to go use the bathroom, so we have to kind of find other ways for him to prompt. But he has explained, just like them, that he cannot feel his body when there's sensory overwhelm. So focusing on Jeremy's positive things and what he could possibly earn money from, like writing, is better for me than constantly focusing on this aspect of toileting, even though it is something we work on. And why I'm glad to be out speaking for 2 days every once in a while. So the other thing that's very important to understand when it comes to change, if we want change, or if we're anticipating change and we need to prepare for it, is that a goal without a plan is just a wish. You have to make goals. You have to have plans if you have goals, because otherwise it's just a wish. I can't tell you how many people when I travel say, oh, I'm writing a book. I'm like, okay, here we go again. Yeah, that's great. How long have you been writing your book? Oh, 10 years. How do you get your books done? Saying, okay, well, I find a day every day that's my writing time. And I write, whether I feel like writing or I don't feel like writing. Oh, that's work. Yeah, that's why I'm a professional writer, because it's work and I do it whether I feel like it or not. So I get up every day at 4 o'clock and I write, and I get my books done. So it's the same thing with any kind of thing. It's like with Jeremy, I'm embarrassed to say, the adolescent autism expert that I am, who knows the words that she's supposed to say and not say in public. I have things that I go and tell people they should be teaching their child, and I am standing up there thinking, and I haven't done it yet with mine. Because the point is, you can't do everything at the same time. And some of these things, it's the same thing. I haven't set a plan. It's like a wish. And if I set aside the time and say, okay, this is something I'm going to work on with Jeremy every day or every weekend or whatever it needs to be for that particular thing, or have a support person to help with that, then it becomes a reality. But until then, it's just a wish. So it's important to remember that you have to have plans if you have ideas and if you want change to really happen. So I wanted to leave you with the thought before someone tells me that I'm overgoing my time. I've been pretty good, huh? Thank you. It's because you have a nice big clock up there that I can see. Now, because us older people, we need the clocks to be bigger. I have a watch. My husband brought me this beautiful watch for our 30th wedding anniversary, but I can't see it. And it looks gorgeous. Isn't it beautiful? Yeah, I think by the time I get a few more years, because I have bad eyesight to begin with, I'm going to have one, you know, on my hands like that. So I wanted to leave you with the thought that change has considerable psychological impacts on the human mind. Okay? To the fearful, change is threatening because it means that things may be worse or get worse. To the hopeful, change is encouraging because it means things could get better. They might get better. But to the confident, it is inspiring because the challenge exists to make things better. And so that's the challenge that we all, as parents, service providers, people with differences, educators. Our challenge is to be confident, is to be those confident people, open to change, welcoming change, and together we can make better the life that we want for those that we love, those that we support, the friends that we have, that we care for. Thank you.
Thank you, Chantel. That was excellent. Very appropriate, and you can come to speak at Huntington University anytime. Well, it's been a great evening, hasn't it? We've honored some folks, we've learned a lot, had great fellowship and a great meal, and to put an evening like this together requires a lot of work. So thank you to all the Pathfinder Services staff that did a great job in putting together a wonderful evening. A couple of housekeeping items before we conclude our time together. Want to ask all the award recipients to meet Katie in the front for pictures, so we can take your photograph. I'll remind you to take your 2009 annual report with you, and I would encourage you to look at that. It's an excellent report updating some of the information about Pathfinder Services. Please leave your name tag on the table. We want to save some money, and we want to be good stewards of our resources, and please leave those on the table. And then, that's great, that's a great sound. Chantel will be having a book signing right by the coat room doors immediately following the dinner, where you can purchase her book, Autism Life Skills, for $10. And I understand, Jason tells me that cash and checks will be accepted, and if you have a hard time with that, Pathfinder Services will be glad to invoice you. So get a copy of her book and have a chance to talk to her. Well, thank you all for coming, and thank you for your wonderful support of Pathfinder Services. Have a good evening.